Thoughtless deck memorization with an additional kicker at the end. One of my first published effects was in Card Cavalcade 2 by Jerry Menser in 1974. This effect dates all the way back to 1976 from Jerry Menser's Card Cavalcade. It's called Card Cavalcade number 2, by the way, or volume 2. It's called deck memorization, where you show a deck of cards that have been already shuffled, and you proceed to memorize the colors of the cards, whether they're red, whether they're black, the exact order that the red and the black cards fall into. You start by legitimately shuffling the pack of cards on the table. You can show all the fairness of the shuffle. The cards have been thoroughly interwoven and shuffled. That part is true. You then explain to the spectator that you're going to memorize the colors of the cards, whether the cards are red or black, but in the particular order that the cards fall. As in red, followed by a black, followed by a red, followed by 2 blacks, and etc. So you're going to demonstrate this. They get a choice of either packet that you are dividing upon the table. It doesn't matter which packet they choose. The packet they touch will be the packet that you, or the half of the deck that you will memorize. If they touch this half, you'll memorize that one. If they touch this half, you'll memorize that one. There's no magician's force. So let's say they touch this portion of the deck. You're going to memorize these cards. The other half of the pack, which is not needed now, will be used for indicator cards. I need a red card, which I'll pull down right here, and I'll use a black card, which I'll pull down right there. After I memorize this half of the pack, red or black, I'm going to have you, if you want, you can have the spectator lay these down. The cards are going to be laid upon the indicator cards. If I think it's red, you'll place it there. If I think it's black, you'll place it there. These are the cards I'm going to memorize. You have the same opportunity that I have to memorize these cards. And I want to show you just how fast this can be done. You ready? Remember, that's a red card followed by a black card, followed by another black card. Doesn't seem too difficult, does it? Not until you speed it up a little bit. Follow me if you can. Just that fast, you have memorized the color sequence of all these cards. You give the cards to the spectator, or if you wish, you can just deal them down by yourself. I remember the first card was a red card, I believe, right? Okay, I'm going to place it there. Yeah, I think you remembered that one also, a red card. Followed by a black card, followed by another black card. And then do you remember what came next? Yes, it was another black card, wasn't it? Yes, it was. Followed by a red card, followed by a black card, then another black card, then a red card, then a black card, then 2 red cards. I think there's one more red card, so lay one more right down there. Followed by 2 black cards, maybe 3 black cards, lay one more down there. Put 2 more blacks. I think there was a string of blacks in a row. Maybe one more black card, followed by a red card, followed by a black card, and then another red card, I believe, and then a black card. Do you have 3 cards left? Yes, you do. I think the last 3 cards were red, if I remember. Do you remember what those cards were? It happened rather fast, didn't it? At this point, you can now turn the cards over and show that you have successfully memorized all the reds. They're over here. That one got away. And all the blacks are over here. You have successfully memorized in very rapid fashion the colors of all the cards. Apparently, by deck memorization. Now let's take a look at the secret and see how it's done. First thing you want to do is separate all the red cards from all the black cards. You then want to interweave them together, or at least alternate the red and black cards together. You can do this by ferrule shuffling them, and then checking, just double checking, make sure you have black, red, 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 black, this case I successfully furrowed them together. You basically want to alternate black and red cards. Red, black, red, black, red, black throughout the entire pack. This is your setup. So when you bring the cards out, you don't want to ribbon spread them on the table so that they can see every other card is red and black. You want to sort of keep them in clumps as you show them. You then want to divide the deck roughly in half. It doesn't have to be exactly in half, but wherever you do divide the deck, if this is a black card, you have to cut to a red card. In other words, there's my red card. It could be that one. It could be that red card. It doesn't matter what the bottom card is, you have to cut to the opposite color. For example, if the bottom card was a red card, then you cut to a black card. You would riffle down till you see any black card and divide the pack at that point. You then riffle these together, but don't make this riffle shuffle an even riffle shuffle. Riffle a few cards and a few cards from the other side and make it kind of a lopsided shuffle. You don't want to have a perfect weave shuffle at this point. So then you, after the face-up shuffle, you can show that the cards have been thoroughly shuffled. You divide the packet into two halves. Now by doing this, you're going to be using the Gilbreth principle, which I thought was very unique back in 1976. And I thought, well, perhaps there'd be something a little bit different you could do using that principle, and then I came up with this idea of using it for a deck memorization effect. So after the packet is divided, and the reason for dividing the cards to the spectators is that you're going to memorize only half of the cards because it takes a little bit of time, a little bit of a challenge, and you're just starting to learn how to memorize the cards. At this point, they can touch any packet. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. If they touch this packet, that's the one you memorize. The other packet, you say, doesn't really matter, but it really does. Because as you spread these upon the table, you ribbon spread them, you want to spread them evenly. And the excuse for spreading them upon the table is because you need two indicator cards, a black card and a red card. It doesn't matter which ones you pull down from the spread. The important thing is that the spread is evenly spread upon the table so that you can see the indexes or the color of each and every card. Because as you know, the Gilbreth principle works out that whatever the color of this card is, this first card will be the opposite in color. See, that's a black one. The second card is a red one, so the second card would be a black one. That's how the Gilbreth principle works. So apparently, as you're very rapidly memorizing the colors of these cards and you're giving the spectators the same chance that you have to memorize the cards, well, apparently you're just remembering the order, the sequence of the reds and the blacks, but you're actually stating the opposite of what you see displayed for you right in front of you the whole time. The secret of this trick, because of the Gilbreth principle, is right in front of you the entire time, which makes this thing a very devious deception. So you tell them the first card you believe was a black card because you see it's red here. The second card is a black card because you see it's black here. Then you'll state, because you see there's two more reds, you'll say, oh, I think there were two more blacks, and they lay them down. Then you say the next card was a red card because you see the 5 is a black right there. The next card's a red card. The next card is a black card. The next card is a red card. The next card, followed by 3 black cards. Do you remember those? You asked the spectator. And then followed by 2 red cards. Then it's 2 black cards. You see the 2 reds right there, the 4 and the 7. 2 black cards, followed by, whenever you see a group of black cards or red cards together, kind of break them up. Say, followed by a red card. I think there were 2 more red cards. And then you say followed by a black card, which is the 7, followed by a red card, followed by a black card. Now you have 1, 2, 3, 4 more red cards. So you say 2 more black cards, and I think 2 more black cards. Now you've simply laid the cards down opposite of what you've seen the colors laid out here. And the important thing is, don't forget to include the cards that you've pulled down within the spread. There is a tendency to forget to include those. So at the end, you can simply turn over all the cards that you've memorized. These are all black. Apparently you memorize them in a very, very rapid fashion, and these are all red. And that is how deck memorization works. Here is an additional kicker ending that allows you to instantly recall the names of 10 cards by suit and number that have been removed from the deck prior to the beginning of the effect. All that is needed is to set the deck up a little bit differently before you begin. The deck is set up in 8 kings order: 8 kings, 3 tend, 2 save, 95 queens, 4, 1 sick, knave. Again, 8 kings, threatened, 2 save, 95 queens, 4, 1 sick, knave. That's an easy way to remember it. And that stack is repeated throughout the entire deck. Next, the deck is stacked in suit order: hearts, spades, diamonds, and clubs. Hearts, spades, diamonds, and clubs. Hearts, spades, diamonds, and clubs throughout the entire pack. The entire deck will now be alternating red, black, red, black, red, black, all the way through as in the original presentation. So the entire deck is in 8 kings order, also hearts, spades, diamonds, and clubs order all the way through. They'll also be alternating red, black throughout the entire deck of cards. After this deck has been false shuffled by the magician, the deck is cut several times by the magician, and then he asks the spectator to cut the deck and then to take some cards from the deck, possibly 10 cards from the top. So the spectator does cut the cards, and he takes 10 cards from the top and puts them in his pocket or someplace out of sight. The cards can be shuffled, by the way. He is instructed to give the cards a bit of a shuffle if he wants to, and then put them away out of sight. Now keep in mind that as long as the magician knows what the top card is of the packet left within his hand, then he'll know that the rest of the cards removed will follow in order. To save, 95 queens, 4, 1, sick, knave. 8 kings, they follow in order as you can see. They also follow in suits. Your 2 of diamonds tells you the next suit is a club. Diamonds, clubs, hearts, spades, diamonds, clubs, hearts, spades, and so forth. So you know the order and the number sequence of all 10 cards. So to gain knowledge of that top card, the 2 of diamonds, you simply turn the packet face up and get ready to cut them in half at a red card, because there's a black card on the bottom of that packet. So you cut at the red card, and you just took a glance at the top card, the 2 of diamonds. So now you shuffle the cards together like you did in the first presentation of deck memorization, separating the cards into 2 piles. Just like in the first presentation, the spectator chooses one of the piles for you to memorize. You spread those face up. Remember to pull down your indicator cards. Then you proceed the demonstration that you've memorized all the reds and all the blacks in perfect order. So after you perform the first part of the effect, now you're ready for the kicker ending, because they still have 10 cards in their pocket which they've shuffled, and they have no idea that you know exactly what cards they hold in their hand. So they bring them out, and you state that I don't recall that I saw a 7 of clubs during our presentation. So they show you that yes, they do have a 7 of clubs, and then you say the 9 of hearts, I believe. I don't recall that one. And do you have a 5 of spades? And how about, I don't recall the Queen of diamonds. You must have the Queen of diamonds. So as you can see, the cards laid on the table so far simply follow the order from the 2 of diamonds. 2 save, 95 queens, for 1 sick, knave, 8 kings, etc., etc. So it gives the perfect illusion that you've memorized or recalled 10 of the cards that were removed from the very beginning of the effect.